Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our one-on-one live interview with Engineer Yasser Zaghloul, Group CEO of National Marine Dredging Company. Welcome, Engineer.
Hi, Naslam, welcome.
Welcome. In today's conversation, we will dive deep into the growth year of the group and will touch on important issues such as sustainable growth, energy efficiency, and transition, as well as the group's overall strategy after the major acquisition. The group today, congratulations, has more than 10,000 employees with operations across regions and has been through an exponential growth period, which is worth understanding and learning from. The ability to maintain sustainable growth reflects the desire to drive sustainable growth, not only for the organization itself, but also of the market. As the sector today emerges from the pandemic, the next generation of talent, ideas and technologies are pushing the frontier of opportunities for the group. The focus, obviously, now is on diversification, which shows a way forward for sustainable growth. Briefly, the United Arab Emirates in October 2021 has announced its goal to reach carbon net zero by 2050. It's very important to understand this is not carbon zero, this is carbon net zero by 2050, which obviously means a lot of investment is needed to reduce the emissions as well as projects of carbon capture and whatnot. And at the moment, the country is going through a major transformation and an investment spree is in place to hit this target. Before we dive into our conversation with Engineer Yasser, I would like to congratulate you and the organization on being the recipient of the Best SIA Award in the GCC in logistics and industrial companies, as well as, which is very important, the group's listing as Forbes top 100 listed companies. So,
thank you.
Engineer Yasser, we have a lot of things to talk about and we have only a limited amount of time. So let's dive into it. So as we discussed, and just as I had mentioned it in the introduction, the group today has over 10,000 employees and you have operations across regions. So the most important aspect here is your observation of the challenges for growth and maintaining that it is sustainable. And very importantly, how is the group leveraging from this learning experience and its position to drive a model of sustainability at an international level?
First of all, thanks a lot, Islam, for this valuable dialogue. I'm sure it's important now, all the circumstances around us and the uncertain market, we all work and live in it. So I'm sure everybody now is a bit curious about what's happening and what will happen and where are we facing and where are we going and what we are facing. Of course, as everybody knows, all industries now face a lot of challenges. And when I look at the market now, I feel it's acting like, with this kind of circumstances, like very aggressive screeners for the players and for the companies. I believe only strong companies with strong foundation and infrastructure will sustain and survive from this kind of unexpected circumstances and a lot of challenges around us. In NMDC Group, I believe when we saw these kind of challenges facing the group, so we had to think differently. We have to develop our strategy completely different than what we used before. By all means, we are following now like contemporary management system, not the traditional management system. When we develop our strategy, it's not by normal traditional way. We design our strategy at the moment to fit with the changes and the challenges around us. A lot of design thinking involved when we develop our strategy to face these kind of challenges. As well, when we look at the problem now, it's not systematic problems which we used to face it on the jobs and on projects and the growth and all what we used to face. But it's completely different. That's why when we look at the problem now to solve it, we have to look by different way. I believe we look to the problem now through like dragonfly eyes, through many lenses to define exactly what is the dimensions of these problems and what are the right solutions for it to match our industry requirements and to match our company goals to make sure that we really achieve in our strategy. So I believe only strong companies will survive from this circumstance around us. But I believe in NMDC Group, when we got the approach of diversification, resilience, and innovation, I believe we positioned the company, alhamdulillah, in very strong position and very strong roots to withstand against any storm to come. And inshallah, more growth even to come. I believe in NMDC Group, we have managed so far to turn the challenges to opportunity through merging, acquisition, through joint forces, through diversification, through innovation as well.
Engineer, can you elaborate a little bit more? Because obviously the organization is standing on very strong foundations. How would you define, or what do you think were the main factors that ensured that there is this strong foundation?
I believe one of the major success factor during last period, and that was great decision really, the merging and integration happened between NMDC as a trading marine and the NPCC as well as the main player for energy sector and oil and gas. I believe this kind of merging created a very, very strong platform, not only to stand against the challenges, but to grow as well. After 1 year now, with what we have achieved, and it was clearly reflected on the market, with the clients, with our suppliers, as well as, of course, the main thing for our financial report and financial figure of last year, everybody aware about the reflection and the impact of that decision on this one. So at the moment, after 1 year, I don't think we can be more satisfied more than what we have achieved with this merging between NPCC and NMDC. And this can be a very, very successful example for the players and leaders, for us and around us as well, even to join forces more and more and establish the strong platform for growth. Because at the moment, when you look at the challenges, we need a lot of optimization, we need a lot of diversification. Alone can be very, very difficult. However, if we join forces with a lot of synergies between the two groups, I believe we will be able to create even more efficient organization, inshallah, for more growth for the near future, inshallah.
Inshallah. So obviously, you just talked about it a little bit. Last year, we saw a very prominent EPC contractor and a marine dredging powerhouse merging. There was a major acquisition. And the company, since the acquisition, has become a regional and global powerhouse. Can you elaborate and kind of walk us through as to how this merger impacted the group, and what were the major lessons learned for both organizations?
Yeah. Well, I start from it's a major lesson learned. Yeah, the major lesson learned, it's really operational excellence, optimization, and be resilient to be a really strong player on the markets. By all means, when we came together and we learned from each other, we achieved a lot on this direction, and that's what makes us really growing despite the challenges everywhere. But the impact, if you look at the impact, mainly the group has the mission for the main stakeholders of the company, which I can say the shareholders, the clients, people working for the group, society, and HSE. if you look at the value added and value created, it's very clear for the shareholder through this kind of merging, and not only by combined two results of two companies, but that was very clear last year that the merging created more opportunities and more growth together, more markets, new markets for us to have even more value creation and added for the shareholders. For the clients, now we are very confident and very strong to discuss with the clients end-to-end solution in all of our infrastructure, if we call it wet infrastructure, marine infrastructure, or energy infrastructure, oil and gas infrastructure. And mainly now the clients, as I know you are so keen on energy transition and renewable energy, and together as well, we are able to invest more and more and diversify and growth on this very, very important task. And I'm sure you will ask about this later on the dialogue. When we come to our people are main assets for the group. And of course, the group is growing. So people are growing with us. And because we are diversifying everywhere, market-wise, vertical in activities and horizontal in market, we need to invest on our main assets, which people. We need to train, we need to create even more and more talents. We need to bring more young people for young generation to come by their new innovative idea to cope with the changes around us. So definitely the growth for the group means the growth for the people. Otherwise, you cannot have the sustainable growth. As well as for society, community, where we are active in markets, a very strong group means a very strong support for the community, a very strong platform for suppliers, for partnership, for joint forces. That means we are parts of developing the community we live in. And that's why I always say, when we work in market or in country, we just are participating on building the infrastructure for the economy of the market or of the country. When we come to HSE, that's very important because we are talking about the next generation. So we have to care for all of aspects of HSE, including as well the renewable energy and the impact of traditional energy to the environment, which I'm sure, as I said, you will talk about it, inshallah, on this dialogue.
Of course. And Engineer Yasser, it's important to highlight kind of also the importance of this conversation today, because we have around 1,000 of your colleagues and your counterparts and industry professionals have joined this conversation today. And I think one of the most important question here is obviously the important aspect of sustainability and sustainable growth. But very importantly is, how has this acquisition, this merger, solidified the offerings of the company when you are, choosing international projects, when you're choosing which projects to, tender for? So, how has this solidified the overall strength of the organization going forward?
Yeah, I believe as we discussed that the merging has added huge value creation for the group, for the shareholder, as well as it gives us now one of the main deliverables or products for the company is how to deliver really end-to-end solution. So I believe this is the main outcome from the merging, diversification, deliver the right solution, end-to-end solution, and add more value to the shareholders, as well as to develop the people and create more talent and even let them grow with the group.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, joint forces, creating a Voltron, if it's appropriate to say. So, as you mentioned, Engineer Yasser, the focus of the business year research this year has been particularly on the transition the country is going for the whole country, for the whole United Arab Emirates. So one of the most important aspects on the table is, when it comes to the producers in that sense, is energy transition. But when it comes to companies that build, that dredge, that service, the most important question is energy efficiency. So keeping this in mind, and the process by which the country and its business community intending to reach carbon neutrality by 2050, how do you leverage on this opportunity for NMDC to start with?
Yeah, of course, you said a very important topic, which is energy efficiency. That's very important for any organization now would like really to planning for their growth, because by the end of the day, energy efficient, it fits in two things: sustainability and growing ahead for the future, as well as, of course, it fits very well as well with the cost, which everybody is taking care about efficiency now in operation. We started toward this direction from many directions. First of all, our execution of our job and how we are developing our methodology, how we are controlling our sites. And by all means now, we are directing the group to utilize all kinds of renewable energy in our way forward, in our sites, in our even buildings, in our methodology when we develop the project execution methodology. The other thing we do now, we are really making a lot of research and thinking about the kind of material which will be friendly for all of these kind of aspects and topics, and try to minimize the real impact from the traditional material during execution of the job. The other thing, of course, which is a major on top of all of that, is the design of the project itself. And this is not only by the contractor, but it has to be joint forces again between both engineering side from the client and from the contractor to make sure that the design for the project, and I believe from now, I hope we are not too late, but I believe we have to start really strongly on this direction with the clients to make sure that any kind of coming project to be designed on the way of the future energy. That's very important, and as well as to reduce and minimize the carbon emission. And we have to keep putting decarbonization in front of our eyes, of course, while we are executing any project.
Of course. Another very important subject is, I think, like I would like to dive a little deeper into this subject, is infrastructural and marine initiatives. Obviously, now you have NPCC and the traditional NMDC operations merged together. So when you take, the whole operations of the group in mind, what initiatives are being taken on the ground for sustainability of the environment and creating more efficient structures? You did touch a bit upon the efficient structures, but maybe we can elaborate a little bit more, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Of course, efficiency now is everything. Anyway, when any player now on the market talks about his results, as they say on, I believe English they say, if you would like to know my performance, look at my figures.
Exactly.
So figures is important, and the figures mainly comes from efficiency. But when I talk about efficiency, it doesn't mean at all cost control or cost cutting cost. It means cost control, and cost control for me is cost optimization. Cost optimization for me could mean more cost to generate more profit. So when we look at restructuring the group or optimizing the structure of the group, we don't look at cost cutting, but we look at more profits and more value added for the group.
So here, if you don't mind, I would like to ask you a side question. Do you see a difference of demands from the client side when it comes to this? Obviously, because at the end of the day, as an EPC contractor, as a marine dredging organization, you are serving national oil companies, like governments of different countries in major infrastructural projects, as well as, oil and gas projects. So how are you witnessing the change from the client side in this case?
Yeah. I believe that it's very clear that the direction for energy is going towards that direction. And I believe we all should calibrate on this direction. Yes, of course, all clients now everywhere related to involved on energy by all traditional oil and gas, but now all of them, they are diversifying and they are really studying this on good direction. And you can see a lot of signatures and MOUs to develop further this. And we really took the steps, and already we established a joint company with one of the top leaders on the energy transition. Together, we established that company to start inshallah, very actively, very soon to start producing and delivering projects to serve this important sector. If you can see now, even the regulations, the governments, all around us, they are taking the decision and the regulation, and they start to put regulation already to serve this important topic within a few years. So we have to be ready. So the clients are moving, and contractor, we are trying to be ahead, to be proactive, and hopefully, inshallah, through the new company we established for renewable energy and green energy, inshallah, to start to deliver projects very soon, inshallah.
I think one of the most important puzzles to solve at this moment is the trilemma of producers, policymaker, and consumers. And obviously, as you were just alluding to it before the line was cut, on the cost of it, because at the end of the day, clearly there's going to be a cost into this immense investment. And I was just saying as well, the alternative cost is potentially losing our planet at the end of the day. So kind of to keep that balance, there is a cost to be absorbed. And I think at the moment, we are witnessing a major change where the policymakers, producers, and the consumers are trying to come to kind of solve this trilemma. And you have a major part in solving that as well. So I think one of the most important aspects towards energy efficiency is investing in new technologies and transformative technologies. And obviously, there are particularly just technology companies that are investing millions and billions of dollars just to find the right technologies. As the group itself, for you, what are your priorities when it comes to identifying which technologies that you want to invest in, and how do you plan to use these technologies to accelerate your own efficiency transition?
Yeah. I believe in short, it's two aspects, and both of them are very important for us, which is energy transition and artificial intelligence. I believe both of them are very important topic for the future now, for the companies to grow and sustain, and to establish our new routes for the future, because I believe the old routes will not be able to stand against the new requirements. It's very clear now that there is a huge shortage of supply for energy, and that's why you will find the prices now is a bit in high side. But I'm sure normally the thing starts like that, and after that it comes smooth, inshallah. And once the technology developed in good shape and be common, available for all, the prices will be different, but it needs, of course, somehow well controlled during this period. But it will not be, of course, from the contractor side, but the clients, I'm sure they will manage it and control it in good shape, because this is especially is very, very important needs for the people. And what we are doing is we are doing for people and for population. So definitely it will be a solution there. And that's why we are pleased to, and we are very encouraged as well to start investing on this kind of sector and information, and to be informed, information to be available and data for us to really be able to analyze and put our direction there. Artificial intelligence is very important as well. I don't see it less important than energy transition. because at the moment, especially we are now growing global-wise, we need artificial intelligence. If we talk about which really we would like to, we are studying very, very strong, how can we be somehow asset-light model, because our industry normally have very, very heavy assets. And this is a big dilemma for us, especially when you have uncertain market. So we need to make balance between assets and requirements and burden for the group. So here we find automation, robotics, and data analysis, and artificial intelligence. I believe this will help us to stand for even more growth for, inshallah, longer future.
Very much so. And I think the evidence shows at the moment that technology itself is not enough. So, and I think when the word or the concept of artificial intelligence had arrived, everyone was scared that they're going to lose their jobs to robots. And I think you know that, you know, this is very, 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 very far ahead in time. So human capital still, as you have alluded to it earlier as well, still remains to be the most important asset of any organization. So when we take into consideration the aspect of technology, you know, there are a lot of new technologies being created as we speak, and the executives and the individuals, the technicians, engineers that implement and use this technology. So where is the emphasis going to be for the group in terms of retention and upskilling of the group's human capital, and creating a sustainable learning and training of the people that actually make the organization what it is today?
Yeah.
From top senior to everyone.
All for me, wherever the position of the people, there are people, and the people by all means are the main valuable asset to the group and for each business. Even when I talk about artificial intelligence to serve and support the people mainly, not to cut their jobs. And that to develop more and to utilize the energy of people on right direction, and to be efficient as well, utilize the energy of the people themselves. So it's very important when I say that we are focusing in asset-light model, means we are focusing more on people, because asset-light model means you are depending mainly on your people. No heavy assets as much as we can. Of course, we will have the minimum requirement or even more to build the right infrastructure for the company, to keep our competitiveness very strong, to keep our delivery very strong as we used to do for our clients. However, the main assets mainly is the people. And that's why we have to care about our people, from training-wise, from development-wise, from creating the right talent and maintaining the right talent pool for the group, and as well as to train them to diversify new activities related to our activities, to come by innovation in our jobs. That is very, very important for us. I don't think without that we can grow. I don't think any sustainable company can sustain without caring about the people, because these are the main assets for the group, definitely. Now, even when we try to merge and acquire new companies, and inshallah, hopefully you will hear good news soon as well, we are talking about mainly people. Who can drive all of these people? If you talk about engineering for the future, people. If you talk about execution, good jobs, people. It's not assets. Assets alone cannot do the job.
Very much so, very much on the point. And I think, you know, kind of, it's a great bridge to our next question. You said, you know, there's going to be further collaborations and partnerships and possible acquisitions. Obviously, we'll hear about these in the coming days. I think even if you take two people getting married, you know, there is just the culture and the marriage of the families. And this culture oftentimes makes or breaks the relationships. So in this case, when we take the culture of the organization, culture of the group, I know that you have been doing a lot of work on kind of ensuring a group culture. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Because I think like ownership of the employees and accountability is extremely important, you know, working for an organization as if it is your own company. And when people feel that way, you can sense and you can feel in the figures and in the sentiment of the results. So let's talk a little bit about the culture of the group and the work that you have been doing on that.
Of course, that is very, very important topic on the management, because it's our role together to create for ourselves. I'm not saying that the management has to create culture for the people. No, all of us are accountable to create the right culture for us and the right atmosphere for us to produce the optimal production we can do. What we have done in the group, I feel really proud of it, because we together as a group, as a people of NMDC Group, almost all people are involved to define our culture. And that project has been done last year. We defined together our culture and said, okay, this is our culture, what culture we need. And everybody was participating there, and we agreed to create the new culture agreed by everybody. So everybody owns that culture. So everybody is owner when we develop the culture, and everybody is responsible. And our main goal of this, especially when diversification comes more wider and we go global, as we discuss always with the team, we would love to see any person in anywhere, any market working for an NMDC group to know him before he talks. This is NMDC guy, and this is NMDC person, and this is how he act, how he perform. So for us, it's our responsibility as a group, as a team, as a people, to create for our own self the right productive culture and right atmosphere. And if somebody comes from his home to the company while he's driving in the morning, he's thinking to go back, he blames himself, not anybody else, because he's accountable and responsible to create his culture by himself. But I don't think this is happening in NMDC Group.
Of course. And I have visited your organization many times, and I always come there with a smiling face. You have such an amazing team members. And as you know, myself talking, I've always had the great pleasure in working with your organization. So thank you so much, Engineer Yasser. I think, you know, we can talk until 2050, you know, until we reach carbon neutrality about this subject. Exactly, but I don't want to take more of your time. Is there anything else that you feel we have missed out that our audience should hear about your organization and about your priorities and strategies at the moment?
Thank you so much. I really so pleasure for me to be with you on this dialogue, and inshallah we will keep going very strongly, and inshallah hopefully very soon you will hear a lot of positive news, inshallah.
Of course, and I'm wishing you very sustainable and days full of growth and prosperity. And thank you so much, Engineer Yasser, for this conversation. And thank you to your team. And especially thanks to our audience who has joined us from all around the world and enjoyed this conversation. And I hope you have learned as much as I have. So thank you so much, and see you in our next interview.
Thank you so much for all attendance, and I hope it was not boring, and apologize for the
never boring.
And I hope really everybody was enjoyed, and inshallah see you next time. Thank you for all.
Thank you. As we always say, masalama.
Masalama. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.